Very good morning, students. Welcome back to online class on programming for problem solving course. In our previous session, we discussed about the coding constants. In how many different ways we can code the constants that we have discussed. We have seen the literal constants, defined constants, and after that we have also seen the memory constants. Okay, literal constants, the way how we use the normal constant values in our mathematical calculations, in that same way we are using these literal constants in our C program. If you write if you write a number, a constant number to represent some count over there, so that number will represent like a literal constant. Then the defined constants, we said with the help of a preprocessor command hash define, we are creating defined constants. So basically defined constant is nothing but it is going to have a name in your program. So after that we have seen the memory constants. These memory constant we are creating with the help of a type qualifier constant. Okay, const. The keyword const is used to create a memory constant. Okay, so all these things we discussed in our previous session, and we started the arithmetic expressions, and we have discussed what is an expression. So we said an expression is nothing but it is a sequence of uh, operators and operands. Okay, operands and operators. So and this expression when evaluated will be reduced to a single value. Okay, so whatever operators we are going to have in this expression, so those operators will represent an operation, isn't it? Like suppose the addition symbol, that is plus symbol, if you consider, it will represent the addition operation. So minus symbol, if you consider, minus token, if you consider, it will represent the subtraction operation. Okay, so all the operators they are going to have a specific functionality or a specific operation, a specific action to be performed in your expression. So if you evaluate all those operators, whatever sequence of operators you have inside your expression, if you evaluate all those expression, you will get a single final value. Okay, that is the nature of the expression. So what is operator, what is operand, and what is simple expression, what is complex expression, all these things we discussed in our previous lecture. So operand is nothing but on which the operator will perform its action, will perform its operation. Then operator is nothing but it is a syntactical token, it is a special symbol in your program which will have some specific operation to be performed. Okay, then simple expression, we said if you have only one operator inside your expression, okay, inside your sequence of operators and operands, if you have only one operator, we call it as an simple expression, because there is no ambiguity, there is no confusion, there is no complexity in evaluating the expression. If you have only one operator, means you can simply evaluate that operator to get the final value. But when we are talking about a complex expression in which we are going to have operators more in number, more than one basically. Okay, in a complex expression which contains operators more than one. Okay, so if you have more than one operator, then there will be a confusion, then there is a confusion which operator we need to evaluate first and which operator we need to evaluate next. So likewise the confusion will come. So because of that reason, because of that confusion only, we are calling the this type of expression as a complex expression. Hopefully you understood. Then we discussed operators in C language. We have seen the broad categorization. We said based on the number of operands we are using in the expression, we are, we are making the operators into three broad categories. That is, the first one, unary operator, which requires only one operand to perform its operation. Then binary operators, they require two operands to perform their operations. Then the ternary operators, they require three operands to perform their operations. Okay, so the based on the behavior of the operator, these operators are categorized into eight different types. Okay, they are, the first one is the arithmetic operator, then the second one relational, logical, bitwise, assignment, increment, decrement, conditional operator, and the final category, the other operator category. So one by one we need to discuss all these things in our in today's session. Basically we'll complete only these operators in today's session. So the first one, the arithmetic operators, relational, logical, bitwise, assignment, increment and decrement, conditional, and other operators category. Okay, so we'll go with the first one, that is arithmetic operator. See, arithmetic operators are used to perform the arithmetic or mathematical expressions. So operations like whatever mathematical operations like plus, minus, multiplication, division, modulo division we are having in our routine mathematics. So those operations we call them as arithmetic operations, and to perform these type of arithmetic operations, we have special symbols in our C language. Special in the sense just syntactically different. I mean, they are the different tokens other than your regular routine characters. They are the different tokens. But when you see these symbols in your mathematics, we use the same symbol to perform these operations in your mathematics as well. Okay. So the plus symbol, the first one, the plus symbol, the plus token is used to perform the addition operation. So this is the symbol which is used to perform the addition, and the operator function is addition, and it is a binary operator. Okay, it is a binary operator. It requires two operands to perform its functionality. Here this is the first one and this is the second one. Two operands it requires. The addition operator, plus operator, it requires two operands to perform its operation. Okay, so then we have the minus symbol. So this minus symbol, it is the subtraction operation. Okay, subtraction operation, and it is also a binary operator. So over here, when we are taking this minus operator in between two operands a and b, so over here what will happen? So b's content will be subtracted from a's content. You have to remember this one. B's content will be subtracted from a's content. So finally you will get the result. Whatever final value after performing this operation we will get, that you will get like a result of this operation, and it is also a binary operation. Then we have the asterisk symbol. We call this as asterisk symbol, the star symbol. So this symbol is used to perform the multiplication. Okay, multiplication operation in our C programming. So a star b, it is also a binary operator. A and b are operands and star is the operator for multiplication. So it will multiply a's content with b's content. So finally you will get the result. Then division operation, this forward slash we use in order to perform the division. So division operation, and it is also a binary operation where the dividend, it must not be the what we call, it must not be the 0. Okay, if it goes to 0, b value goes to 0, then what will happen? You will get infinity, undetermined value over here. Okay, so because of that reason the b's value must not be equals to 0. And then the modulo division operation, about it we discussed when we discussed about algorithms and flowchart. Over there we performed this modulo division operation, isn't it? Modulo division operation, what it will do, it will return the remainder of the division operation. It will not return the quotient, it will return the remainder of the division operation. So modulo division, so we call this operator as the modulus operator, and modulo division operation it will perform. Then how we have to use that operator, in the sense it is also a binary operator, so it requires two operands to perform. Okay, so a b both are operands and my modulo division operator is the operator. And here also, when you are performing modulo division operation, the b value must not be equals to 0. Okay, and both a and b must be whole numbers. When you are performing the remainder, I mean modular division operation, a and b values must be whole numbers. Okay, so here those things only we have written under this note. The first point, if you see, while performing division, the second operand, that is the dividend, it must not be equal to 0. So if it is equals to 0, we will get infinity over there. Okay, so while performing modular division, both the operands a and b, they must be whole numbers, integers. They must be integers, and the second operand must be non-zero. Okay, and the second operand must be non-zero. This b value must not be equals to 0. Okay, so these are the arithmetic operators: arithmetic plus, arithmetic minus, which represents addition, subtraction, then an asterisk symbol which represent multiplication, forward slash division, modulo division. Okay, all these are different symbols which are used to perform the arithmetic operations. So to demonstrate this arithmetic operations, we have a special program. So by seeing that program, you will understand many things. But as per now, we have not done any practical stuff, and you are completely unaware of the IDE concept and other thing. So when we start the practical sessions, as we promised in our yesterday's session, when we start the practical sessions over there, we'll do all these program demonstrations. Okay, so the next operator category what we have over here is the relational operators. So these relational operators, they generally used to perform the comparison between operands. So they are also the binary operators. That means they take two operands to perform the operations, and whatever operands we supply, they will simply do the comparison between those two operands. So, and they will return a boolean value. See, after performing the comparison, so whenever we are comparing, we'll do the comparison for the equivality. Okay, so we'll compare whether both the numbers are equal or not, whether both the operands are equal or not. So when we do such comparison, if both the operands are equal, the relational operator, the equal relational operator will return true value to indicate that both the operands are equal. If they are not equal, when we are doing the equivality comparison, and if they are not equal, then it will return a false boolean value to indicate that both the operands are not equal. And you can even do the comparison in such a way that you are checking the greater than, less than, greater than or equals to, less than or equals to, and not equals to. See, all these are your relational operators. So quickly we'll discuss one by one. So the first relational operator is the equal operator. So to check the equality of two operands, we in mathematics generally we use only one single equal to sign, isn't it? Equal to symbol to do the to check the comparison, to check the equality of two operands. But here in C language we have to use double equals to, like this, equals to equals to. So we need to use this double equals to check the equality of two operands. Okay, so this double equals to, here you can see we have double equals to. Double equals to operator, we call it as equal operator. It checks whether the supplied operands, they are equal or not. Whatever operands we are supplying, it will simply check whether they are equal or not. If they are equal, it returns true. Okay, if both the operands are equal, it returns true. True is the boolean value over here. Okay, true is the boolean value which indicates the success of the performed operation. So whatever operation we are performing, if the operation is returning true, if the relational operation is returning true, it indicates that the operation is successful. So whatever you are checking, that is successful. And if both the operands, if they are not equal, then it will return false. So what this false, again it is a boolean value, and it indicates that both the operands are not equal. Okay, both the operands are not equal. So for example, what I am doing over here, you see, we are performing, I mean, in this particular expression, we are performing the equivality. We are checking the equivality of two literal constants. So here when I am keeping 5, 5. So what is this 5? What is this 5? 5, 5. We are, I mean, to represent the count, we are not specifying a variable or a name over there. Directly we are keeping the number over there. So if you are keeping directly the number, it will be a literal constant. Okay, it will be a literal constant. So here we are checking the equivality of two literal constants, that is 5 double equals to 5. So what that double equals to will return over there, what that equal operator will return over there, it will return true, to indicate that both the constant literals, they are equal. It will return true. Okay, then not equal operator. So not equal, the token, the symbol to represent not equal is this one, not followed by equal. Okay, negation followed by equal. So this particular symbol represents not equal operation. It checks, it is exactly opposite to your equal operator. Whatever equal operator is performing, exactly opposite to that one, this not equal operator will perform. So not equal operator, what it will do, it will check whether two given operands are equal or not. It will also do the same thing. It will also check for the equivality. But here it returns, I mean, when it indicates success means when both the operands are not equal. In our previous case, when both the operators are equal, it returned true. But over here, if both the operands are not equal, then only the not equal operator will return true, to indicate that both the operands are not equal. So yeah, here if both the operands are not, if not, when I am saying if not, that means if both the operands are not equal to, then it will return true value. It will return true value. Otherwise, it returns false. So whatever the equal operator is performing, it exactly performs the opposite to that one. Okay. So yes, here what we are doing, we are doing the comparison again between the constant literal 5 and 5, and we are keeping the not equal symbol. Not equal means we are checking whether both the numbers are equal or not. So not equal symbol when you are using, if both the constant literals, if they are not equal, the operation will return true. So as you can see here, these two things, they are equal, so the operation will return false over here. So yeah, here you can see the operation is returning boolean false. So not only equal to and not equals to, we also have greater than symbol. Okay, greater than operator. What it will do, it will check whether the first operand is greater than the second one or not. Okay, it checks whether the first operand is greater than the second one or not. If the first operand is greater than the second one, it will return true. Otherwise, it will return false. Very simple terminology here. Nothing logical over here to explain. Okay. Simply what it is doing, it is doing the comparison between two operands, whatever we are supplying. If the first operand is greater, it will return true. If the first operand is not greater, it will return false. So over here, when we are doing the comparison between constant literals 6 and 5, and if you are saying 6 is greater than 5, this is a true statement, isn't it? So this operation will return true. So then less than operation, what it will do, it will check whether the first operand is lesser than the second operator or not. Okay, so it will check the first operand, it must be lesser. So in order to be the success of this operation, the first operand needs to be smaller. And if the first operand is greater or not smaller, then what will happen? It will return false. Okay. So if the first operand is smaller, it will return true. Otherwise, it will return false. So over here, when we are doing the comparison between 6 and 5, you can clearly see that 6 is greater than 5, but we are saying 6 is lesser than. The operation is checking for the lesserness of the first operand, but over here it is not true. So it will return false. So then the next operand greater than or equals to. Okay, greater than or equals to operation. So here this is a mistake. It must be greater, isn't it? It is not less than. It is greater than. Greater than or equal to operator. Again, it not only checks for the greaterness but also the equivality. Okay, so it checks whether the first operand is greater than or equal to the second operand or not. If the first operand is greater than or equals to, it will return true, otherwise it will return false. So over here what we are saying, we are doing the comparison between 5 and 5 and we are saying greater than or equals to. Of course the first operand is not greater but it is equal, isn't it? The first operand is not greater but it is equal. So what will happen? The operation will return true. The operation will return true. So the next thing, less than or equals to, quite opposite to the greater than or equals to operation. Here it will check for the lesserness. Okay, if it checks whether the first operand is lesser than the lesser than or equal to the second operand or not. Even if it is equal, it will return true. So here when you do the comparison between 5 and if you keep the symbol lesser than or equals to, as you can clearly see that 5 is not lesser than 5 but it is equal, so it will return true over here. Okay, so this is how all the relational operators will work, and they will do the comparison between the operands, and that operand, it may be a constant literal, or it may be a variable, it may be a defined constant, it may be a memory constant, it can be anything which is holding the value or which is representing the value. And if you do the comparison between the operands, these relational operators will return the Boolean values, either true or false, based on the type of operation and based on the behavior of the expression. Okay, so the relational operators, here I am summarizing that one, the different relational operators, and as you can clearly see that all the relational operators, they are the binary operators. They require two operands to perform their operations. We cannot apply, we cannot make these relational operators as unary or as ternary. They exactly requires two operands to check the equivality, and accordingly they will return the Boolean values, true or false. So the relational operators, double equals to sign is used to represent the equal function. Okay, negation equals to, not equals to, greater than symbol, greater than operation, less than symbol, less than operation, greater than or equals to, less than or equals to, likewise. Okay, so if you want to see the complements, opposite opposite, what operations are opposite to one another, if you want to check that one, here I have given the list. So when you see the less than operation, the complement, the exact opposite operation of this less than operation is the greater than or equals to. Okay, whatever value you are getting when you are keeping the less than operation, you will get the same value even if you put greater than or equals to. Okay, so then the, sorry, exactly opposite value I mean to say. So then the greater than symbol, the complement of this greater than symbol is less than or equals to. Okay, then double equals to symbol, the complement of double equals to symbol is not equals to. Suppose why we are saying the complement, why we are saying these operations are complement to each other means, okay, suppose when you are keeping the less than symbol, see here, when you are keeping the less than symbol, suppose if you are getting true, then if you put greater than or equals to, what you will get? You will get false. So they are exactly opposite to each other. If one operation is giving true, the other operation will give false. Because of that reason only we are saying these operators, they are complement to each other. They are complement to each other. They are inverse to each other, we can say. Okay, so suppose by keeping this lesser than, if you get true, what will happen? If you put this greater than or equals to, you will get false. If you are getting true here, again here you will get false. For by keeping double equals to, if you are getting true, by keeping not equals to, you will get false. So because of that reason we are saying all these relational operators, they are complement to each other. All this means whatever I have listed over here, they are complement to each other. Okay, then we have another program, another C program to demonstrate the behavior of the relational operators or the working of these relational operators, that we will see in our practical session. So the next one, the logical operator category. So these logical operators are used to perform the logical operations. Okay, logical operators generally used to perform the logical operations, and these logical operators are logical and, logical or, and logical not. So in these three operators, the first two operators, they are binary operators, and the last one, it is a unary operator. So what does it mean? So the first one, logical and operator, it is a binary operator, so it requires two operands to perform its operation. Same for logical or, it is also a binary operator, so it requires two operands to perform its operation. But when it comes to the logical not, it is a unary operator, it requires only one operand to perform its operation. Okay, they are, I mean, why we use these logical operators, in the sense, in control structures, we are very soon we are going to study about the control structures, the iterative statements, the looping statements, or the conditional statements, and the iterative statements. In these control structures, we put conditions. Okay, we put conditions in order to make our path through the program execution. So when you are keeping the conditions over there, and if you want to club more than one condition, if you want to put more than one condition inside your control structures, there we use this logical operators. Very soon you will understand that one. They are used to combine two or more conditions, or to complement the evaluation of the original condition in consideration. So not only for combining, but also to get the opposite. Opposite means to get the complement. Suppose if you are getting true at a particular condition, and if you want false over there, simply what we have to do, we have to complement that one. So not only to combine the conditions, but also to get the complement of the condition, we are using these logical operators in your control structures. And these logical operators are as follows. First one is the logical AND operator. And what symbol constitutes this logical AND operation, in the sense, this ampersand symbol. This symbol indicates the logical AND operation. Logical AND operator. The logical AND operator returns true when both the conditions are true. Okay, when both the conditions, we said we are going to mix, or we are going to combine more than one condition together using these logical operators. And this logical AND operation, if you supply two conditions, so let us say here in this way, condition 1 and condition 2, and between these two conditions we put this logical AND operator. This is logical AND operator. Let us assume the first condition is true and the second condition is also true, then only this logical AND operator will become true. In all other cases, that means, so when both the conditions are true, the logical AND operation returns true. And if one is true, the other one is false, and if the one is false and if the other one is true, or if both the conditions are also false, in all these cases the logical AND operator will return false only. False. So this is what. So we have the truth table in order to understand the working of this logical AND operation. Over here, yes, this is the truth table you can consider. I will once again draw the truth table, not to bother about it. And the second logical operator, that is logical OR operator. And we use these symbols, two vertical lines. Okay, a single vertical line you can see on the keyboard. You have to press that key twice by using the shift key combination in order to get this symbol. Okay, a vertical line symbol you are going to see on the keyboard. Simply press the shift key and press that key twice to get this symbol. Okay, so OR operator, we call it as logical OR operator, and this logical OR operator returns true when both the conditions in the consideration. Yes, this logical OR operator, what it will do, it returns true only when any one of the condition is satisfying, and if both the conditions are not satisfied, then it will return false. So let's just take that one. So first let us take the first operand. Let us say the first condition 1, and the second operand we are supplying condition 2, and the OR operator, what it will give the result. So let us say the first condition, it is going to true, it is becoming true, and the second condition, it is also true. So the OR operator, what it will return? It will also return true. Okay, if one condition is true, condition 1 is true and condition 2 is false, then it will get true only. Here we are saying any one or both. Okay, when any one of the condition or both of the conditions are true, then the OR operator will return true, otherwise it will return false. So let us assume the third case, that is the condition 1 is false and condition 2 is true. So in this case what will happen? In this case also it will return true because the condition 2 is true over here. When both the conditions are false, if condition 1 is false and condition 2 is also false, then ultimately you will get false in the result. Okay, so this is the truth table in order to understand the working of your logical OR operator. So A or B, for example, A or B returns true if one of A or B is true. It is not compulsory that, like your AND operator, it is not compulsory that both needs to be true. If any one of the operand is true, or if any one of the condition is true, then you will get the result as true. And if both the conditions are false, then only your result will become false. Okay, so hope you understood this logical OR operator. Then we have the logical NOT operator. Logical NOT operator, it is a unary operator. It will take only one operand, and in order to complement the final result, or in order to complement the result of the condition, we use this NOT operator. Suppose if your condition is giving true value and if you want false in your situation or in your consideration, then what we have to do, simply complement it. How we are going to complement? By using this NOT operator. So condition 1, let us take an example. Condition 1, if it is giving true, and if you apply the NOT operator, then what will happen? Logical NOT operator, then what will happen? You will get false. Okay, and if condition 1 is giving false, and if you are applying NOT operator on condition 1, you will get true. So likewise. Okay, hopefully you understood. So NOT of condition, if the condition is true, you will get false. Okay, so this is the summary of the operators, logical operators. We have logical AND operator, A ampersand ampersand B. In this way we have to use it in our program. So it will give the result according to the values, according to the behavior of A and B conditions, or A and B values. So then the logical OR operator, it is also a binary operator. It requires two operands to perform its operation. So over here A and B, if both are if any one of these two is true, then you will get result as true. If both are false, you will get false. Then NOT operator, okay, logical NOT operator, it is a unary operator. It is not a binary operator, as you can see. NOT of A. If A is true, you will get false. If A is false, you will get true. Exactly opposite. In order to complement the given condition value, we can use this NOT operator, logical NOT operator. And we have a program to demonstrate these logical operators as well, that we will discuss in our practical session. Okay, then the next one, the bitwise operators. It is one of the important operator category that we can expect in your external exams for 7 marks. Okay, because many times this question, it got repeated under LAQs category, long answer questions. They repeated many times this question, bitwise operators. So these bitwise operators, they work at the bit level of the given operand. So as you people are aware, because we discussed this thing many times, that your computer will understand only the machine language instructions, the instructions which are coded just using zeros and ones, isn't it? Your computer will understand only if the instructions are coded just using zeros and ones. That is nothing but the binary language, that is nothing but the machine language. Okay, so these bitwise operators are also operate at the bit level of the given operand. So what we have to do in order to understand the working, in order to understand the functionality of these bitwise operators, whatever operands we are taking into our consideration to apply these bitwise operators, first we have to convert those operands into machine language, okay, binary language. First we have to convert those operands into binary language, then apply the bitwise operators. Okay, so whatever result we are going to get, that result you will get in your programming as well. Okay, so bitwise operators work at bit level of the given operand. Okay, bit level in the sense whatever decimal value, decimal numerical we are taking into our consideration, we are not applying the bitwise operator directly on the decimal value. So that decimal value we need to convert into binary. We need to convert into binary before applying this bitwise operator. Okay, so in C programming we have totally 6 different types of bitwise operators. There are many bitwise operators we have, but for our consideration we are going with only 6 bitwise operators. Okay, so the first one is bitwise and, bitwise or, second one, third one is bitwise XOR. Okay, then fourth one bitwise left shift, fifth one bitwise right shift, and the last one bitwise NOT operator. Bitwise NOT operator. So one by one we need to discuss all these bitwise operator categories. Okay, the first one, bitwise and, so before going to these bitwise operators, let's just do some uh, what we call some, let's just have some understanding on how we can convert a given decimal number into binary number and a given binary number into decimal number, because this understanding is very very important before we go with this bitwise operators, because without the knowledge of that conversion, number system conversion process, it is very difficult to understand this bitwise operator. So I will open that one for you. Okay, so to make you people aware of that concept, I'm taking the help of my whiteboard application. So let us just take the concept of number systems. Okay, number systems. Okay, what exactly this number system is. Okay, and how many different types of number systems we have, all those things we will discuss over here. I will not waste much of your time. So simply see, in our decimal number, okay, whatever number system we use in our day-to-day life for counting numbers, okay, for counting things, or for counting our money, to do the financial transactions, to do mathematical calculations, we use decimal number system. Why the name decimal means decimal number system. Why the name decimal means, because we have 10 digits to count the numbers, isn't it? 0 to 9, how many digits we have? 10 digits we have. 0 to 9, total 10 digits. That's the reason we call our number system as a decimal number system. 10 means deci. Okay, so we start, I mean, to represent nothing, to represent zero count, no count at all, no entity at all, no thing at all, we use 0, isn't it? Then to represent 1 as count, 1 as number, okay, okay, So we use this particular symbol, one symbol. To represent 2 as count, we use this symbol. 3 as count, 3. 4. Likewise, up to 8 as count, 8. 9 as count, 9. 9 represent 9 entities, 9 things, 9 rupees in our financial transactions. 9 as count in our mathematical calculations. Likewise, 9 we have. Then after this 9, to represent 10, 10 as entity, do we have any symbol? No, we don't have any symbol to any single digit or any single symbol to represent 10 as count. We have only 0 to 9 in our decimal number systems. How many symbols we have? Only 0 to 9 we have, and using this 0 to 9 only we have to give, or we have to show all the counting 0 to infinity. All the counting we have to represent using this 0 to 9 only. So after counting 9 as count, to show the 10 count, we don't have any single digit. So what we are doing, we are going for combinations of whatever existing digits we have, whatever digits we have in our hand, we are going for combination. So to represent 10, what we are doing, we are making 1 0, then 1 1 1 2, likewise up to 1 9, then 2 0, 2 1, 2 2, likewise up to 3 0, likewise up to 9 9, 99 as count, we represent 9 9. To represent 100, to show 100, is it possible to show 100 using only 2 places? So whenever we are running out of the digits, so suppose we are showing 0 1 2 3 using single digit, we are showing the count values. Okay, after reaching 9, what is happening? We are running out of the digits. We don't have any new digit, single digit to show the 10 as count. So what we are doing, we are incrementing the position. We are incrementing the position, and we are going for tens position. Tens position, and we are making the combination of digits, and we are showing 1 0 as 10. So likewise, when we are reaching 99, again to show the 100, it is not possible to show 100 using 2 digits, 2 places, isn't it? So what we have to do, we have to increment the position, hundreds position once again. So now hundreds position we increase, we put 1 in a hundreds position, then 1 0 0, likewise, then 1 0 1, 1 0 2, and so on, 120, 130, and so on, 199, then 200, 201, and so on, 300. Okay, then 900, and so on, 900 at some point, then and so on, 999 we are reaching. After reaching 99999, again to show the 1000, we need one more place, isn't it? One more place we need, thousands place we need. So how we are getting the thousands place? Simply 1000, like this will represent 1000 count. So in this way we continue till our infinity. Okay, so hopefully you understood why we are calling our decimal number system as a decimal number system, because it is having only 10 digits to show the count, to show the numbers, to show the transactions. Okay, so that count, to show the 0 count, 0 symbol, likewise to show the 9 count, 9 symbol. But when we are reaching 9, we are running out of the digits. To show 10, we don't have any single digit, so we are going for 10. So likewise, we have shown all the numbers, all the counting values in our decimal number systems. So the important thing which you have to remember is why we are giving the name decimal means, because it is having 10 digits. And after every 10 count, we are incrementing the digit position. Okay. So this is about decimal number system. Then we have, this is the first number system, that is decimal. Okay. Then we have the second one, the binary number system. Binary number system. So what we do in this binary number system is, we are going to have, binary means how many? Only 2. Decimal means 10, 0 to 9. Now binary means only 2. So only 2 digits we are going to have in order to represent all the numbers from 0 to infinity. Okay, to represent all the numbers, we are going to have only 2 digits, that is 0 and 1. That's it. Nothing, I mean, no other digit is used in order to represent the count in binary number system. So now, how it will become possible? How it is possible to show all the numbers using only these two digits, 0 and 1? Okay, that we will understand over here. So our decimal number system, we have like this: 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, okay, 8. Up to 8 I will take. Okay, so now this 0 we represent with 0 only. Okay, this 1 we represent with 1 only. So always see, whatever number system we are following or whatever number system we are learning, will take our decimal number system as reference. I have just what I have done over here. We'll take the decimal number system as reference. I mean, depending on this decimal number system only, we will learn other number systems. Okay, so don't get confused over here. So 0 to represent, we are taking 0 count to represent, we are taking 0 only. 1 count to represent, we are taking 1. But when it comes to 2 count, do we have any single digit which is possible to show over here? No, we already ran out of the digits. So whenever we are running out of the digits, what we are doing, we are incrementing the position, isn't it? So here also we do the same thing. Because we run out of the digits, so we increment the position and we make the number combinations over here. So again, 2 to represent, we use 1, 0. Okay, 2 to represent, we take 1, 0. 3 to represent, 1, 1. 4 to represent, is it possible with the help of only two places? Not possible, because again we ran out of the digits. 1, 0 we used, 1, 1 we used, all combinations over. So now what we have to do, again you increment one more position. So 4 to represent, we use 1, 0, 0. 5 to represent, 1, 0, 1. 6, 1, 1, 0. 7, 1, 1, 1. 8, again we ran out of the digits. So how we represent 8? Again 1, 0, 0, 0. Likewise. Then 9, simple thing, 1, 0, 0, 1. 10, 1, 0, 1, 0. 11, 1, 0, 1, 1. 12, 1, 1, 0, 0. Just follow me. I mean, how I am doing this one, you just follow me. 13, okay, 1, 1, 1, 0. 14, here 1, 1, 0, 0, then 1, 1, 0, 1. This is 0, 1, then 14, 1, 1, 1, 0, 15, 1, 1, 1, 1, like this. Okay, this is enough. Okay, so in this way we represent the binary numbers using only 0 and 1. Then the third number system which we have is octal. Okay, here we are going to have only 8 digits, that is 0 to 7. Then we have fourth one, hexadecimal. Hexadecimal. And here we'll have 16. Okay, 0 to 9, followed by capital A, B, C, D, E and F. Like this we will be having 16 over here, 16 digits over here. 0 to 9, this is 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Like 16 digits we will be having in hexadecimal number system. See, these two are some of the advanced number systems that we will see afterwards. But for now, we need to know only decimal as well as binary. Hope you understood how these number systems will work, decimal number system and binary number system. Okay, so now we have to understand how we can do the conversion. If a number is given in decimal, how we can do the conversion into binary. And same thing, if the number is given in binary, how we can convert it into decimal. This thing we have to understand. So quickly, I will take some space over here and we'll discuss that one. Okay, so if the number is given in decimal format, decimal form, how we can do the conversion to binary form, decimal to binary. So always you remember one thing, because there is a possibility that will mix up the numbers. Okay, and when they are giving a particular number, how we can tell the number is in which format means, so by checking the base value. Okay, when we are using mixed number types in our calculations or in our understanding, what we do is we'll take the base value to indicate that a particular number is in a particular number system format. Okay, so let us say if I want to put number 7 in decimal, number 7 in decimal, how I can put? Simply you take the bracket around the number and put the base value 10 over here. So now this 10 indicates that 7 is in decimal. Okay, so same thing, if 101 is there, let us assume this is in decimal value. Again, how we represent? 10 you have to put at the base. So same thing, 101 you want to represent but in binary. 101, let us assume this is in binary. How come? Put the brackets around it and put the base value as 2. 2 indicates binary. 10 means decimal, 2 means binary. Likewise, octal, how we represent? 1 1 1. Let us assume you have like this 1 1 1. Octal. Octal means 8. Hexadecimal 1 A B 2 C, like this. This value is in hexadecimal, so 16 is the base value. So like this number is in decimal, this is also in decimal, this is in binary, this is in octal, and this is in hexadecimal. Octal, hexadecimal we are not doing today, we are doing only decimal and binary. So this one. So I give one number in decimal and I will convert that number into binary. Same thing in reverse, I will give one binary number and I will show you how we can convert that number into decimal. Okay, so the first thing will go, let us assume we are doing now convert the following, like this they will give, convert the following, and they will not give anything. I mean, which number system, what I mean, which number system the number is, that thing, that information they will not give. So what they will give means only the base value they will give. So like this they will give. See here, let us assume I'm taking a simple number, let it be like 9. I'm giving 9 base 10 and equals to, they are keeping question mark over here and the base value is 2 they are keeping. So now what they have given? They have given decimal 9, and what they want us to do? They want us to give the equivalent, binary equivalent, base 2 in the sense binary equivalent. So basically what we have to do, we have to convert this 9 into binary. We have to convert this 9 into binary. So how we can means, take the LCM with 2. Okay, take the LCM of 9 with 2, and every time whenever you are taking the LCM you have to write the remainder. Okay, don't try to divide the number with a different number so that you will get the remainder as 0. Don't do in that way. Always take the LCM with 2, and if you are getting the remainder, write down that remainder separately. Okay, so I will show you how we do that one. So 9 with 2 only we have to take the LCM. Okay, 9 with 2. So 2 4s it will go, right? Isn't it? 9 we have and 2 4s it will go. 2 4s 8. What is the remainder? 1. You write down the remainder separately like this. Then 2 2s. Isn't it? 2 2s, it is 0. Write down the remainder separately, 0. Then 2 1s. 2 1s, 2. 0 you will get. So like this you have to. 2 4s, write down the remainder separately. 2 2s, write down the remainder 0. 2 1s, write down the remainder 0. So now when you got like this with all the reminders, you just go in this way. How I am showing the arrow mark, you just go in this way and write down all these numbers. Okay, so what are those numbers? What are those digits? So 1 0 0 1 to the base 2. Okay, so 9 in decimal is equivalent to 1001 to the base 2 in binary. So in this way you have to perform, and in this way you have to write the number. Okay. Take another example. Take the number 14 in decimal and convert this 14 into binary. How we can do? Same. Once again, 14 to the base. Take the LCM with 2. So 2 sevens it will go. Isn't it? 2, 7, 14. And what will be the remainder? Remainder is 0. Then 2 threes. Okay, 2 threes, 6. Remainder is 1. Okay. 2 ones. 2 ones, 2. Remainder is 1 again. 2 ones, 2 plus 1, 3. Okay, like this. So now 14 when we are saying, we are getting 11110. Okay. 14 to the base 10 equals to 11110 to the base 2. Okay. Take some big value now, like some 54 to the base 10, and I want to see this value in binary. Question mark to the base 2. Okay, take 54, 2 2s, 2 sevens, 2 27s, 54, remainder 0. Then 2 1s, 3s, 2 13s, 26, isn't it? 2 13, 26. So 27 we have, so remainder is 1. So then 2 6, 2 6, 12, remainder is 1. Okay. 2 3s, 2 3s, 6, remainder is 0. Then 2 1s, 2 1s, 2, remainder is 1. So now 54 to the base 10 is equivalent to, what is that? You have to go in this direction. So 110110. So this is the equivalent binary value, 110110. Okay. Take one more value, like 149 to the base 10. I want the equivalent binary. Take 149 and start taking the LCM with 2. And all, okay, in every step write down the remainder. 2 74s, 148. Isn't it? 2 74s, 148. So the remainder is 1. Then 2 37s, 2 37s, 74. Okay, 2 37s, 74. So the remainder is 0. Next, 2 1s, 8s, 2 18s, 36. Remainder is 1. Then 2 9s, 2 9s, 18. Remainder is 0. 2 4s, 8. Remainder 0. 2 2s. Remainder 0. Last one, 2 1s, 2. Remainder 0. So now when you write 149 to the base 10 in binary, the value will be, you have to go in this direction. So the value will be 1000101 to the base 2. So 149 to the base 10 is this much. Okay. So this is how we convert the decimal values into binary values. So all these things we studied. We have converted 9 to binary, we have converted 14 to binary, we have converted 54 to the binary, we have converted 149 also into binary. So now, how we can convert the given binary number into decimal number? Okay, given binary number into decimal number. So for that, the process is very simple. So let us take a random example. 110110, like this I have taken 110110 to the base 2, and I want it in decimal. I want it in decimal. You can see, you have to observe the base values. The given number is in binary, and I want the number in decimal. Okay, to the base 2 to the base 10. So what we have to do over here, in the sense, just follow these steps. First you write these digits with some spaces in between. Okay. So first you write 1, 1, 0, then again 1, 1, 0. Like this you write. Then what you do means multiply with 2. All the numbers multiply with 2 and put plus in between. Plus. Here also multiply with 2 plus. Here also multiply with 2 plus. Then multiply with 2 plus. Like this you do. Okay. Then from the right hand move towards left hand. So in this direction you have to move. From the right hand move towards left hand. Move in this direction. Okay, and start giving the powers to this 2 what we have written over here. Start giving powers and always start giving that powers from 0 onwards. Here you put 0, here you put 1, here put 2, 3, 4, like this. Now you evaluate this one, you will get the result in decimal. Evaluate this one, you will get the, this is an expression, isn't it? Evaluate this expression, you will get the result in decimal. How come? This is 2 power 0 is 1, isn't it? 2 power 0 means 1. Remember this one. 1 multiplied with 0 plus 2 power 1 which is 2. 2 multiplied with 1 plus 2 power 2. 4 multiplied with 1 plus 2 power 3. 8 multiplied with 0 plus 2 power 4. And here this last one also we have, right? So for this also multiply 2 we have to write and 2 power 5. Okay. 2 power 4 is 16 multiplied with 1 plus 2 power 5 is 32 multiplied with 1. So like this. Now perform this multiplication operation. This is 0 plus this is 2 plus this is 4 plus this is 0 plus this is 16 plus this last one is 32. Like this you will get. So now add all these things. 32 plus 16, 48, isn't it? 32 plus 16, 48, 52, 54. So what result you will get? 54 you got. 32 plus 16, 48. 48 plus 2, 50. 50 plus 4, 54. So we got 54 as the result. And this 54 is in decimal. This 54 is in decimal. See, 110, 110, we got what? 54 in decimal. See, already we did this one over here. 54 to the base 10 when I have taken, and when I converted this number into binary, I got 110, 110. So same thing, 110, 110 when we took in binary and we have converted and we got 54 in decimal. So both are equal. So next thing you take this one. Okay, 140s, 101 in binary. So in this way you can cross check whether you got the right result or not. In this way you can cross check. So how many zeros? 140s, 101, right? The 149 in decimal. 140s, 101. So that I am writing over here. 140s, 101 in binary, and I want the decimal equivalent for this one. Okay, how we can do? First you write these numbers with some space in between. 1 0 0 0 0. 4 zeros, then 1 0 1. Okay, multiply with 2 plus, multiply with 2 plus, multiply with 2. So all these you have to write like this. And for this last one also you put multiplied with 2. So now move from right to left in this direction and put powers to this 2. Here 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now Start evaluating powers. 2 power 0, 1. 1 multiplied with 1 plus 2 power 1, that is 2 multiplied with 0 plus 2 power 2, 4 multiplied with 1 plus, okay, 2 power 3, 8 multiplied with 0 plus 2 power 4, 16 multiplied with 0 plus 2 power 5, 32 multiplied with 0 plus 2 power 6, 64 multiplied with 0 plus 2 power 7, 128 multiplied with 1, like this. Now write down the, perform this multiplication. 1 plus this is 0 plus 4 plus this is 0, this is 0, and this one is also 0. This is for 8, this is for 16. 32 is also 0. 32 multiplied with 0, 0. 64 multiplied with 0, 0. Then we got 128, isn't it? We are missing something. So 128 we got. So 128, 132, 133 we are getting. So some mistake we have done over here. Where is that? Here it is. So 149, 2 sevens, 2 fours. Okay, 2 sevens, 2 fours, that is 74 plus 74, 1 4 8. So 1 we got. Okay, 37, 37, 35, 35, 2, 2. Correct only. This is 18, 18, 36. So the remainder 1. Correct. 2 nines, 0, 2 fours. Here, see, when you are 2 fours, here it must be 1. Because remainder you will get 1. So 2 twos, 0, 2 ones, 0. So here some mistake. Where is that mistake? 100, 1. Here 100, 101. Here this should be 1. Okay, 100, 10, 101. So when you convert the same here, so in this way you can do the cross checking. So over here 100, this should be 1. Okay, 100, 101, 01. So here 100, after 00, this should be 1. Okay, so this should be 1, and here also this should be 1. So what you will get? This is 0 and this is 16 you will get here. 16 you will get, and this is 0, this is 0, and 128. Now this is 20, so 148 plus 149. In this way you will get the final result, 149 to the base 10. So here the decimal equivalent of this binary number is 149 to the base 10. Hope you understood. So in this way we can convert the given binary number into decimal number, or given decimal number into binary number. These both things you need to understand before we proceed in bitwise operators. So tomorrow when I start the explanation of that bitwise operators, okay, before explaining anything, I will also show you how you can represent the negative numbers. Okay, so once we discuss that negative number representation, that means if you have a negative decimal number, how you can convert that negative decimal number into binary, and how you can convert a negative binary number into decimal. So that we will see in tomorrow's session. Okay, so thank you very much, students.